Hi guys, welcome back. So the alleged victim who filed a lawsuit against Jay-Z, adding his name to the Diddy lawsuit, has spoken out. She is now 38 years of age and she doesn't look how I expected her to look. She's completely different from how I expected her to look and sound. Now, obviously, her identity was concealed, but you can tell her race, you can determine her accent. Apparently she's from Alabama, but it appears her speaking out hasn't done her case any favors because people are calling out the inconsistencies, which she addressed herself in the interview with NBC. So an Alabama woman who accused Jay-Z and Diddy of raping her when she was 13 years old sat down with NBC News to recount what she called a catastrophic event: a limo ride to a White House, a drink that made her feel woozy, an essay by rap stars that would ruin her life. But the woman and her lawyers also acknowledged that there were some inconsistencies in her account in response to questions from NBC News. And obviously, Jay-Z's lawyers were listening to this interview intently, and they are now calling for the case to be completely dismissed. She said, "I have made some mistakes in recollections of that night." The woman, identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit filed against Jay-Z and Diddy, told NBC News. The woman said she stands by her allegations overall. The inconsistencies in her account of the incident, alleged to have happened 24 years ago, do not necessarily mean the allegations are false.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of raping her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet, but it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
An NBC News review of her account found inconsistencies with her allegations. She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury.
Wow, so I'm assuming her voice has also been altered. Not what I was expecting. And the first question I'm asking is, how on earth did this young girl from Alabama end up in New York City at the VMA Awards, in the vicinity of these celebrities, and much more, at a party where these celebrities were? Now, in the court documents, it says that the limo driver was driving for about 20 minutes. So this house was 20 minutes away. I believe it was a White House that she described. Other people are saying that the celebrities were at a party at a club in New York City. So when it comes to Jay-Z, they're saying that he wasn't even in the location that she describes. Now, her account, as per the court documents, also say that her dad picked her up. Her dad picked her up after experiencing that ordeal. She called her dad. And my first question was, did you tell your dad what happened, what had happened to you? And I would assume yes, because she's just been through it. She's going to be visibly traumatized. And obviously he's going to ask, where have you been? And I did question why her dad didn't drive her straight to a police station, or at least take the steps to do something about what had just happened to your daughter. It just made it sound as if he drove her home and that was the end of it. That doesn't sound right to me, especially from a father. And apparently, the father doesn't recall the events of that night. How is that even possible?
The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
Another major inconsistency is her alleged interaction with the Madden brothers, Benji Madden and I'm not sure the other one's name. She said she spoke to Benji Madden. She said that they discussed his tattoo because it was of the Last Supper. And she found that interesting because she's of a religious background. She said she spoke to him about that. And that's a very specific detail, which is what somebody who remembers something vividly would say. They would offer specific details. However, they've spoken to the reps of the Madden brothers and apparently they weren't even there that night.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, "I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind," he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statements. "I have made some mistakes," she said. "Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me." The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false.
I mean, it's not looking good for this these allegations and this case, to be honest. It's not looking good. I mean, Jay-Z, obviously he can afford the best of the best lawyers. And if there's a slight inconsistency, that can completely destroy the case. But these are huge inconsistencies, huge. The dad doesn't remember. I'm assuming he drove from Rochester, 5 hours away. You don't remember having to inconvenience yourself to such an extent to pick up your 13-year-old daughter who shouldn't even be in New York City. Because what's she doing at 13, getting driven 5 hours away to go to check out celebrities? I'm assuming it was very late at night, very late for a 13-year-old to be out 5 hours away. And he doesn't recall the events of that night. I'm not sure if he's saying he doesn't recall, the immediate aftermath after picking her up, like what they discussed, or he doesn't even remember that night where he had to go and pick her up. I don't know. Come on now. It's looking very good for Jay-Z. It's looking very good for Jay-Z. That's all I'm going to say. And it's not looking good for this case. So that's why it's good to remain neutral when it comes to these situations. Do I think Jay-Z is some innocent person who hasn't been involved in any shenanigans? No. Proof is required, or evidence is required, and so far it's not looking good in that way. However, the lawyer, Buzbee, he sounds pretty confident still. He sounds pretty confident, and I guess they've taken all of this into account, that there has been inconsistencies, and I'm assuming he believes that these inconsistencies can hold up in court despite existing. Now we shall see. Jay-Z's like, you need to dismiss this case.
The accuser's attorney, Tony Buzbee, said, "Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress." In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, "This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory."
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
Yeah, I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of, being chastised by their fans.
All right, Chloe Malas joining us now live. Chloe, we just heard a very strongly worded statement from Jay-Z. What else are you hearing from him and his team?
Yes, so his attorney said that they're going to ask the court to, quote, dismiss this frivolous case. And also moments ago, we heard from Diddy's legal team, and I want to read you some of what they said. They said, quote, this is the beginning of the end of this shameful money grab. And remember, he remains behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, and his criminal trial begins in May.
And yes, what would that mean for Diddy? These inconsistencies can also mean that this case may not go anywhere when it comes to him too. It is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, but would make things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Buzbee and all the lawyers that filed the complaint. So Buzbee has filed more than 20 lawsuits against Combs, and he claims to have received over 100 or so alleged victims come forward, and he whittled it down to about 30. So based on that, people will say that he is vetting these claims. So this woman is now a mother of 2. So she said in the aftermath of this alleged incident, she got severely depressed, her grades started slipping, and she ended up dropping out of school. She experienced homelessness and at one point suffered a head injury. She and her father also said that she experienced rape again later in life. She now has 2 children, a son and a daughter. She served less than a year in the Army National Guard and left with a rank of private. She got her high school diploma and, quote, got my Christian counseling certification so that I can help people who have gone through what I have gone through. She also said she has her applied behavior analysis certification so she can help people with autism, which she says she has. There were so little resources to mums that don't have the proper amount of income, she said. So yeah, the father said he does not recall picking her up after the alleged attack, casting doubt on a key detail in her lawsuit. How can he not remember picking her up 5 hours away? Maybe he didn't live in Rochester, but even so, it was 24 years ago, to be fair, but it was the night of the VMAs, and you don't remember going to New York City to pick up your daughter. And he even said himself, I feel I would remember that, and I don't. Either way, I think that would be used to the fullest extent in a court of law. It really would, and I think that would be a reason why the judge would want to dismiss the case. That and the Benji Madden story. I mean, they weren't even in the state when this took place, and she says that she spoke to him about his tattoos, unless there's some big thing going on behind the scenes. But if they say they were touring in the Midwest, that can easily be verified. It really can. So when asked about her father, she said she stands by her story, and there are a lot of things, and this is stuff that we argue about constantly. Something he said or did back in New York. Around that time period, he just doesn't remember. It actually causes a lot of fights sometimes in the household. And Buzbee said, we agree. He states he doesn't remember. His daughter explains that he was in no state to remember during that point in time due to personal issues he was having then. We are talking about a time frame that was more than 20 years ago. I mean, he could have had a substance abuse problem. I'm speculating here, obviously. He could have had a drinking problem, which wouldn't have been very good going to pick your daughter up. And this is a 13-year-old girl hanging out in New York City, 5 hours away from Rochester. I mean, it does bring the question up of where were the parents? So yeah, maybe he did have issues that could lead him to forget an event that was a very long time ago, obviously. So in a follow-up interview speaking about the Madden brothers, the alleged victim said, honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me and the route that I took to what happened to me. Not all of the faces there are as clear. So I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying. So professional images reviewed by NBC News show Combs and Carter were among the celebrities who attended a VMAs after party at the Lotus nightclub in New York City. It is not clear what time those images were taken, or if Combs and Carter attended any other after parties. The building that housed Lotus, now closed, does not match the description of the house the woman described in the lawsuit and interview. I didn't know exactly where we were going or even how long it took, the woman said when asked Tuesday where she thought she was taken that night. She added that she had guessed about the length of time the trip had taken in the lawsuit. So Buzbee said, "We have attempted to confirm the correct location. We have never suggested the location was the Lotus Club. Our client has been very specific and detailed about the description of the venue she says she was taken to, and she has never stated it was the Lotus Club. We won't speculate on whether there was an after party, because again, she doesn't know that." So the woman who she says drove her to New York City would have been 20 at the time. The person appears to have died, and NBC's News' attempts to reach the person's relatives were unsuccessful. So guys, you have to let me know what you think about this. The only case to implicate Jay-Z has some huge inconsistencies, and Jay-Z is pushing for this to be dismissed. Do you think he will be successful in getting this case dismissed? Do you think there's too many inconsistencies that it will not hold up? Could this have been a money grab to go for a quick settlement, and now it's all coming out? Because Buzbee did say he was trying to get these cases settled behind the scenes, and some people already have, settled these cases. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Like, comment and subscribe, and press the bell for more.